Rewind just a All right, guys. So my name is Kate with Scotland Run Marketing. Today we're going to be going over email campaigns with you guys. With that, we're going to take a look at creating a custom email campaign in Command. So creating a custom newsletter or email we want to send out. We'll also take a quick look at the templates that are available through Keller Williams International so that you can see what those look like and how to customize those for whatever you might be creating. So let's get started. Back into Command. Now, once we are in Command, we are going to start by creating our email design, and then we're going to go through the process of actually sending that through email campaigns. So first, to get started, we're going to head into designs. If you're not familiar with these icons on the left-hand side of the menu, you can hit this red and white KW button in the top corner. That's going to expand that menu bar and allow you to see what each of those applets are all at once. You can, of course, always hover over those. They'll let you know what the name of that is. Again, we're going to start in design. So looks like a canvas with a paintbrush on top of it. We're going to head into that part. Now, once we are in here, we can start creating our design. Actually, I'm going to show you one thing before we jump into actually creating the design. So we're going to go back to the home screen. Sorry, people still join in. So before we jump into the actual design, we're going to go to settings under our name. And we're going to just take a quick look at our marketing profile. So this marketing profile, this one actually feeds to your KW website. It's going to feed over to your KW consumer app. It's also going to feed a lot of this information into your email designs that we're going to be creating today. For example, your headers and footers of the email signature or the email design are going to pull those pieces of information from this profile. So you definitely want to make sure this profile is up to date. So you want to make sure you have a headshot included. 360 by 360 pixels is the recommended size. If you need help resizing that, you can reach out to our support email. We are happy to resize that for you. Now moving down, the team logo, this is not a required logo. However, if you do not have a logo here, you may experience some issues where you're having a broken image on your email design. I'm going to remove this so I can kind of show you that when we get there. But if you do not have a team, we encourage you to either enter a generic Keller Williams logo, add your headshot here as a secondary photo, or if you've branded yourself as a solo agent, you can add that logo here as well. Other pieces of information that you'll want to make sure you have is, of course, anything with a red asterisk. So first and last name. Some pieces that are not required, but you will want, especially for the email designs today, are going to be that agent license number. You'll want to have that, your job title, designations. You may see some errors when creating email designs if you're missing a couple of those things. So it's better to just come in here and fill everything out. Slogan is not usually necessary. You'll want to make sure you have your bio. Phone numbers, of course, are important. Email address, website, another one that's not required, but you may get some errors when creating and sending email campaigns if you're missing that. It does need to be the full URL. If you're using a kw.com site, you want to make sure not to include www. That will cause your website to error out, so it won't work. Down here, you'll add your market center information. You'll have your market center specific logo. This is a generic one because we're in multiple offices, but you'll want to make sure yours is specific to your office. If you're not familiar with that or it's not there, you can click this KW Connect button and go ahead and find those and get the specific logo you need. Down here, if you need to include any compliance as far as text, footers, legal links, images, you can include all of those here. And then lastly, some social media links if you want to have those included. Again, full URL. For these, you want to make sure it is the public facing URL. So you'll want to view your Instagram or Facebook as if a client would be, so not being logged in. and you'll want to grab that full URL that way. Once you're done with that marketing profile, go ahead and hit save. And then from there, we're going to jump back into design. So we're going to go back to the home page and back to designs. Sorry, we backtracked there a second, but that part is pretty important for our email design specifically. So from here, you may notice that your design screen looks a little different. These are designs we've created within our command account. So if you don't have any, you may just not have created anything just yet. We're going to go ahead and hit create design though in the top right-hand corner. Now from there are a few options. You have email, social, print, and video. Again, for today's class, we're going to focus on this email. We do have classes that go over the other three if you are interested in those. But we're going to go ahead and click email and go ahead and hit next. Now from there, you're going to see that we have some templates. These are those templates that are provided by Keller Williams that you can customize and use. Let's see. I may have gotten rid of some. I feel like there was a few more, but that's okay. We will come back and take a look at one of these. We're going to create one from scratch first, and then we'll jump into one of these and take a look at them. So for this class specifically, we're going to start by hitting create new template in the right-hand corner. So this will bring us into a blank email, so we can start creating our design. So first you'll notice that we have a title up top. I'm just going to name this class 213. Now I don't have to save that or anything. If I click off of that, it's going to keep that. This is for internal purposes only. So just for you, no one else is going to see this when you're sending that email. In this top bar up here, other things we have as options are the options drop down. That allows us to preview our email, send a test email, download the template. So a couple options there. We then have save, save and close, and close. Now that menu bar behind or below that, you have a few different view options. So these little icons will allow you to view your email design on a desktop, on a tablet, as well as on a mobile device. You cannot customize your sizing based on iPhone view, Android view, mobile view, etc. However you create this, you just want to make sure that no matter which device they're using, things aren't overlapping, nothing's cut off. So you just want to use these to make sure that everything looks good on all of the different platforms, okay? Next, we have the view components. That will allow you to kind of see the different components as they are on your design. We have the preview option again, and we also have undo and redo. Now we're going to primarily be using these items over here on the right-hand side. You'll see that we have some layout options. So if we wanted to first build our layout, we could. You could also just go ahead and start pulling in your content. It is whatever you prefer. When it comes to the layout, you have the one column option. As you can see, I'm just dragging and dropping. The border will turn yellow, and then I have a green line that's going to indicate where that column is going to be dropped. So just keep that in mind when you're dragging these over. As you can see, it's going to be below. If we want to do 3 columns, let's say we want to put this in between these. You got to kind of finagle it till you get it where you want it. We have 3 columns. We also have a 3x7. We have a divider as well. So let's go ahead and drop this up here. Like I said, sometimes you gotta like figure these out, because if it's highlighted over one box, it's only going to put that divider over that one box and it's going to be separate. So it's got each individual piece. But if you can see the line in there, that is the actual divider. These are just little columns. So it's a little different than if you were to come in and put a divider over the entire section. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. So as you can see now, I have that line through the entire thing versus just one. Now, if you come in here and you add something by mistake, you can click on that specific piece and delete it. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these. Actually, why is it not giving me my delete button? Just remove these guys. It should be popping up with that delete, but for whatever reason it wasn't. There we go. Pop up. I'm going to go ahead and throw that divider back in. Again, these are just for you to create whatever you'd like. Now, when we're clicking on each of these items, you're going to see we also have some options over here. If we want to give the column here a color background, we can. As you can see, when we do that, it immediately changes. These are optional. This is just however you'd like to customize your email. You can, of course, move this around and find the color you're looking for. You can also use a dropper if you're trying to match a specific color for something. You can do it that way as well. Or if you have those hex color numbers, you can enter those as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave this white. You can also add a border around this. By adding a border, you're going to have a few options. The width of the border. So as you can see, if we do 50, makes it very obvious. If we do 10, it's slightly smaller. 8. So you get to kind of decide that. If you want to have that border radius, let's do 50. That's going to curve those corners. The more curved it is, the higher the radius, the more curved and round that border will be. And of course, you can do the border color as well if you want to. So tons of options there as far as customizing your columns. Now, if we go ahead and go back, again, those are all of our layout options. Let's go ahead and start actually plugging in our content. So I always like to start with our legal header and our legal footer. So I'm going to go ahead and drag those items and drop them into our email. As you can see, they look like they're missing information. They look like they need to be edited and customized. This is the reason we took a quick look at that marketing profile. This information is going to pull directly from that profile. So to make sure this is working, we can go ahead and click the little eyeball to preview our email. Now, by doing that, you can see that I have all of that information plugged in and it's pulling from that marketing profile. Now, this one, I don't think I saved it, which is why it's still showing. Let me just check that really quickly. And close this. Go back to that marketing profile for 1 second. I don't think I saved it when I removed it. So if I remove that team logo that we were kind of just talking about at the beginning, if I remove that team logo, that is the logo that appears down here in this right-hand corner. Now, if I remove that, it looks like I don't have a logo, anything here. However, when this email actually sends out to the people that I'm sending it to, if I don't have anything there, it is most likely going to appear like this image here. It's most likely going to look like a broken image within the email. So that's the reason that we recommend putting an image there, whether you use your headshot again because it works with your information down here, you use a generic KW logo, whatever your preference is, we just recommend having something there. Let me go ahead and add this back. All right, so let's keep plugging along. So again, this information cannot be edited directly within the email design. You do need to go over to your marketing profile in order to make those changes. Now let's go ahead and start plugging in the rest of these items over here. So let's say that our header, let's say we want to throw in some text into that column right here. Let's go ahead and insert that into that little column. Now, as you can see, my border resized based on the text. Let's go ahead and call this February newsletter. And actually, I'm going to throw an image here instead of text. So let's go ahead and delete that. Because I want to show you something different with the text. Now, when I'm pulling in an image, and I did that a little fast, so when I'm pulling in an image, I have the ability to add a photo there. To add a photo, I want to hit replace in the right-hand side. By doing that, it's going to pull images. These images are going to only be images that I have previously used in an email design. So these are not going to pull from your social designs or any other designs in command, only pulling photos that you've previously used in an email. So we can grab one of those. We can also use listing images, which we're going to take a look at this in another piece of content. So for this one, we want to go ahead and do add images. This is going to allow me to pull any image from my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And I'm going to grab this February newsletter photo that I saved earlier. And I uploaded that. I still need to click on it and have that blue border around it to replace. Now, once I do that, it's putting my photo in that exact little box. Now, if I wanted to make my border match this time, this is a great time to use this. So you can use that dropper to grab that color. So we have our title at the top of our email. Next, let's go ahead and plug in some text. So again, we have that divider here. Now we're entering our text. With this, I'm just going to say hello, and we'll use the agent's name here in a second. Once I type hello, I can, of course, change my font. I can make it bold, italic, underlined. I can change the color of that. All of those things can be adjusted. Now, this doesn't have as many options when it comes to colors. I can make my font bigger. And then let's say we want to include whoever we're sending this to, we want to include their name, hello, name. You have this merge field tags up here. Now you can use this to identify your contact. So you have the ability to pull in any agent information. Again, this information for agent is going to pull from your marketing profile. So if you're trying to pull in your Facebook and you don't have that URL, it's not going to work. So just keep that in mind when trying to pull pieces from your marketing profile. Now moving down, we have market center information, again, pulling from that marketing profile. We have some legal footer. We have one. This is going to pull in any of that legal footer that may be required for your emails. And then next we have some options for contacts. So first name, last name, we can insert their email, phone number, home anniversary, and birthday. So I'm going to go ahead and use contact first name. Now, when I'm pulling this, I want to actually use this drop down to pull that piece of information. If I'm just typing this in that same format, it's not going to work. You want to actually pull that from the drop down. Now, I'm just going to leave hello first name and show you how to check and make sure this is working. So if we close out of that, we have hello contact first name. If I click preview here, it's going to say the same thing. Oops. But now I have a new button up here that I didn't have before. So I can click this and grab a contact's name, and it's going to insert their name. So that is how you can make sure that is working. I like to show this feature because if you are simply sending yourself a test email, you're only sending it to an email. There's no contact name associated with that email when you're doing this. So when you send yourself a test email, it is going to say, hello, contact first name. It's not going to include their first name here. And guys, if you are dropping questions in the chat, I will come back to those. I just want to make sure we get through everything, but we will have time to go through questions and come back to anything. So if I miss your question, we'll come back. Okay, so that is how you make sure that is working. Again, sending that test is not going to show you. Other things you can do in here, you can of course change the alignment. You can insert bullet options, indents, you can use links and emojis. And then down below, of course, you have your styling options. So you have the width. This is going to determine the width of that box. You have padding around the box. So if you were to add this, it's going to give extra padding. As you can see, padding is equivalent to basically space. So it's giving me a lot of space at the top of that. If I move that, it's going to be less. Same for the bottom. It's going to be space around that item. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of just what that equals, padding around the item. You can, of course, always add that border again if you'd like to. And then you have those same options for the border. Now if we go back, our next option in the content is button. So let's go ahead and drag this in. Now button, there's a couple of ways to use this. Let's say that you want somebody to register for something, you want them to sign up for something, whatever that might be, you can include that button that they can click there and it will link to wherever you want them to go for that specific thing. You can change the text on that. So maybe we want to say sign up here. It's going to plug that text in. We can decide where we want that link to. So if we want to send them to a landing page from the website, if we want to send them to a Google form, anything like that, you can go ahead and link that to it. You can use just a standard URL, plug that in. Let's grab this one. We just plug in the full URL. So tons of options there. Then we kind of get into the styling again. So the width, do we want it to fit the content, so the text, or do we want it to fit the container? Do you want to change the color again? So we could go ahead and match our red up here again if we want. Ooh, that's a little more pink that time. Must have grabbed it from a weird space. There we go. We can change the font of that, the size, the text color, if we wanted to make that different as well. Again, the padding, so up and above and below. Sometimes you have the left and right that you can adjust as well. We do not here. You can also choose the position of this for this specific one, but that is your button. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go back. Now you'll also see this button when we get into event block. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be very similar when we come in here. Now we've already covered the legal header and the legal footer. So the next thing we have is a listing block. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that over. As you can see, I have a listing block that allows me photo and some listing details. Now from here, on the right-hand side, everything's changed. I can autofill from a listing. So I have a little listing pulled right here. Let's grab this address. Try to keep one handy. Now, when searching for an address in here, you can search by a few different things. You can search by just your listings, all listings. You can also search by address, MLS number, and KWLS ID. Sometimes less is more when we're searching this way. There we go. So now that we have the listing pulled up, it's going to show all those details. I can go ahead and view this one. I can select which photo I want to highlight. So let's go ahead and just grab this one here. Now, once I have my photo selected, I want to hit select. It's going to plug in all of the listing details for me from that listing. It's going to plug in the photo. Now I can, of course, come down here and confirm that everything is correct. Let's say we had an open house page for this property and we wanted to link that so that they come here and sign in. And go ahead and create that really fast. Give me 1 second. And grab this URL. And let's just say we want to redirect them there. So now if they were to click on this, it would redirect them to this open house sign-in sheet. So they have some a place to fill in their information and get more info about that property. Now we can also, of course, adjust all of our styling. So styling is going to be very similar throughout all of these pieces. You can adjust the font, the body color. So that's going to be your text. If you want to adjust that, it's going to adjust that text there. I'm going to leave it as black. Padding, again, above and below. So if you wanted to add that, you of course can. Left, center, right, and adjust those. Now this one has a different option that not all of them do, which is the layout. So currently we're in a horizontal layout. We can also switch that to vertical. Now sometimes this is great because, for example, if someone is previewing this on their mobile device, it's going to be vertical anyway. So just keep that in mind when you're creating these. But that is really it to that listing block. So they make it pretty simple because it pulls from the listing itself through the KWLS. You can, of course, add as many of these listing blocks as you want. So if you had another property you wanted to pull, go ahead and grab this address one more time and see if we can find one nearby. We'll just grab this one here. It's not really nearby, but that's okay. Yeah, not nearby at all. But same thing, pulls all of the same information. You can, of course, make sure everything is correct. And again, you can enter as many listings as you'd like here. So that is totally up to you. If you want to add all of your listings. Next, we have an event block. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this over. Now, an event block is going to have all of these pieces of information. So you have a space to add a photo, a date and time, the title of whatever event this is for, some information about it, and then a button. So the button is going to be the same as this one. That's why we kind of highlighted that. If we're coming in here, though, we're going to edit each piece of information one at a time. So if we want to replace our photo, I'm just going to grab one. It's not necessarily going to make sense, but we'll just grab this one here. Keeping with our Valentine's kind of thing. So let's say we had something coming up for Valentine's Day. We're having a client event or something going on where people can pop by. You could even do this for an open house, whatever it may be. I just, again, added that photo to have one. So now that our photo's there, again, we can link the photo, edit any of the styling items, but then we can just go to the next piece. So let's say we have something going on this weekend. Let's do February 15th. We'll just do 3 p.m. just to put a time on it. Again, you can change the color, text, all of that good stuff. You can insert those tag fields. Anytime you're using text, you can include those. Now we have our event title. We'll just call this a Galentine's event. For lack of, creativity. And then again, we have all of our same information, styling, etc. If we want to add our description, register here. I cannot type. Drinks, games, whatever. Maybe we're having raffles, whatever you're doing, you'll put your description. Again, same things, border, container padding, etc. And then last, we want to update that button. So we could do the same thing as before, select where we want it to link to if we want them to RSVP or register. Let's just type RSVP here. Put that in there. We want to change our color, all that good stuff. All right, so now we have our event. Now you could create this on your own. Maybe you didn't want to have all of this text. You could just do a photo and a button like we did up here, and you could have just added that photo right above that button, as well as a small piece of text if you didn't want all 3 of those. So this is just, again, great if you're doing like an open house or something like that, where you do have all of that information and you want to include it all together. Now our next content block is going to be a video. So we're going to drag that and drop that over as well. Now by doing that, we have the ability to add a URL.
Make your browser fast.
We're going to just grab this URL and paste this here. Now, when you are entering a video into your emails, it does need to be a public video. So on YouTube or another platform similar, you do need to have it on one of those in order to add this. So it can't just be from your phone or anything like that, unfortunately. But once we have that on here, we can add our link. Now we still have to add a thumbnail photo, otherwise it's going to appear like this here. So we want to replace. I'm just going to grab one of these and use that. So that is just my thumbnail for that video. So they'll click on that when they get in their email and the video will play. Same options though, we have the width. If we were to adjust this, it makes that video smaller or bigger. So in some cases, depending if you're primarily trying to make this good for a phone, you can certainly adjust that. It makes it look a little different. So that's going to be how wide that is on your email design. Again, padding, border, all of that good stuff. And then the last thing we have is the market snap. So I'm going to drag that over. And the market snap, it's going to give you some stats on a specific neighborhood. Now, it has a header. We can, of course, adjust that header. We can pull in a zip code. Let's grab one of these. Let's just do 33133. Now, once I type that in, I still need to select a neighborhood. So I have to come in and decide which one I'm looking at. So I'm going to go South Grove. I think that's the correct one for this. We can change the font, the color of the headlines. So that would be a little different than down below. You can also adjust the text on this one. Black, red, whatever. I'm going to leave it black. Padding, center, border, all of the same things. Now, what I like to mention with this neighborhood trend here is that there is no way to manually edit the numbers that are polling. So if you pull one that you do not like, the neighborhood information doesn't look accurate to you, there's no way to manually edit these. So you could select a different neighborhood, or you could create your own neighborhood trend image within designs and pull that in. One that allows you to manually customize the information, but this one unfortunately does not let you do that. But once we're done, man, I cannot type today. Of me. I swear I can type on any normal day. But now that we're done, we just click out of that. There's really not that much to edit there because again, you can't edit the information that pulls there. It is pulling a broken photo. When that email's out, it will correct itself and pull an actual little neighborhood snap. I know the preview doesn't pull it either, but when it sends, it will. Let me see if I have one in my email that I can kind of show you what that looks like. Um, so give me 1 second. I'm going to show you guys what that actually looks like when you send it. I just need to switch my screen. Okay, so when that email physically sends out, this is a completely different email from another time, but when that sends out, it will look more like this. It will have the map and the area for that specific neighborhood, as well as those details. Now, the last thing I like to mention before we look at the other template is that every email sent through command is going to come from an email that looks similar to this. It says agent, a bunch of numbers at mailer.kw.com. Currently, there's no way to change that from email. You can only change the sender name, which is the name that shows up as it's coming from, and the reply to email. So if someone were to come in and reply to this email, I can choose what email that goes to. Last thing, when this is actually sent to the client, it will have an unsubscribe option down here in the bottom left. Any email that comes from command will have that, so you don't have to worry about adding that. It just doesn't appear here in the email when we're creating that. Take a quick look at these questions before we go into the template. So I missed the how did you do that? If you want to let me know what you were interested in, I can definitely go back at the end. Yes, you can send emails to groups of people. We're going to go over that really quick. We're going to take a quick look at the template, and then we're going to go over how to actually send this through command to our database. I hope I answered your market snap question, but if you have another one, let me know. I don't believe this specifically will say if it has an open house. It doesn't populate that information. However, depending where you're redirecting them to, or if you wanted to add it as an event, you could identify the open house that way. Yes, we will come back to the neighborhood. Give me 1 second. Let's go ahead and jump into a template really quick and then how to email that, and I will come back to that. So what I'm going to do now, guys, that my email is created and I'm ready to go, if this were ready to be sent out exactly as it is, I could go ahead and get that, saved and sent out. So I'm going to go ahead and save and close. Now that's going to appear right here. It will populate a thumbnail here in a little bit. Sometimes it takes a minute. Before we jump into campaigns and how to send that out, I want to show you guys the templates really quick. So we're going to go back to create design and back to email. And then this is the templates. So you could decide what you're creating an email for and use one of these. So they have open house, featured homes, Happy New Year, whatever you're looking for. Keep in mind, these are templates. You can fully customize them for whatever you are looking to use them for. So if you are seeing an open house for New Year or New Year's Eve, you can create it for any other holiday. You can also create it for an open house. It's whatever you want to make it. So let's take a look at this featured home ones though, and we're going to do next. Now, as you can see, when I come in here, it looks a little bit different. So again, same thing. We're going to have our header. It's going to pull that information from the marketing profile. It's going to have featured homes. We can edit this. So if we're not in Austin, Texas, you can change what this says. Now, I like to point out this little box here because this box is going to be on a lot of the templates. So if you like this, you could erase everything else in here and just plug and play into this. Or you can create one of these within your email. It's using a lot of the merge tags. And this is why I said it's important to have those pieces of information in your marketing profile. Because if you were missing a license number or your website, you're going to see an error when you're trying to send this. It's usually going to flag it as something is missing. So keep that in mind. Now I don't love this template because when I'm plugging in these listings, it's not pulling all of the details as easily as the other ones. So if I wanted to pull in my listing, I can replace, and I can of course come to listing. And we can grab our trusty address again, plug that in. When I click view and select a photo, sorry, my zoom bar is in the way, replace. As you can see, it replaces the photo. It doesn't replace the text, okay? So I have to come in and plug that in. So depending on what you are doing, if you like the layout of this, you can keep doing that, or you can come in and just grab a listing block and plug it in that way. It does look a little different, but again, I like it because it minimizes the amount of work. It pulls in all the details for me, and I don't have to sit here and manually edit the button and all of the other info because it will automatically be there. So just something to note there. But once we're done with this, I'm not going to go through and edit this entire one because I want to get to the other part of our class, but that is how you would come in and make those edits. So we're going to go ahead and just save and close this one as well. And then we're going to get ready to send this one out. So we're going to come into campaigns for this next part. And from here, we're going to go into the emails dashboard. Now, once we are in here, you'll see that we can see how many emails we've sent in the last 30 days. You can also adjust that, how many recipients, opens, clicks, etc. Now down below, you have the title. Again, this is for you internally. The status of that mailer, the date, sent, opens, clicks, and the goal of that email. So every email you create, you'll set a goal. Now the three little dots, you're going to have edit, duplicate, or archive. And when you have one that's already been mailed, you'll just have duplicate and archive. Now, if you were to click into one of these to take a closer look at it, you'll see that you're getting some additional details. So how many were sent, how many were actually delivered, if someone opened it or not, if they clicked into something, if they unsubscribed, if it wasn't sent at all, maybe their provider blocked it or something like that, or if they just didn't open it. So you'll be able to see all of that information. You'll even see their name, email, etc. When they're not sent, it will also give you the option to resend those. So this is a great place to come to get additional information on those emails. Been having some issues going back the last few classes. So maybe they're working on something. But from there, we want to go ahead and get our email list created. So I'm going to go ahead and start there. Now, when you're creating an email list, you can do it through MailChimp or Command Mail. Now, we primarily use Command Mail. I can edit a list. So if I previously created one, I can come in here and edit that list, or I can create a new one. Now, I like to mention this because if you are creating your email list based on a specific tag, let's say you had an open house and you're emailing them about upcoming open houses, anyone that came through, you're using that open house tag to identify those people. If you're adding in new contacts to command with that tag, these email lists will not automatically update with the new people. So you will either want to edit the list or create a new one each time to make sure you're capturing all of those people with that tag. But create list, we're going to name this class 213. Now again, I can search for specific contacts. I can also come in here and do class or find the specific tag that I'm interested in. Let's see. I think we have a class demo one. Maybe that will pull more people. There we go. So if I'm pulling based on tags, again, I can come in here. If I had more than this amount of people, I can scroll all the way to the bottom. It will say show more. If you have a lot of people, you're going to want to scroll all the way to the bottom and keep loading everyone until everyone is loaded. And then you can come back up and hit select all. Now, once we have our contacts selected based on our tags, we can go ahead and confirm. Is going to create our new email list. And now we can go create our email campaign. So class 213, we're going to hit create campaign. We're doing email campaign. We need to do a title. Again, this is internal only. They're not going to see that. I'm just going to do other. This is going to have a newsletter, so it's a little bit of everything, but you want to determine what the purpose of your email is. Are you using Command Mail or MailChimp? And then from there, you can see again, we have our title. This is just for us to identify. The account we're using that. The recipient, so this is where we can pick our email list. Sender name and reply to name. So again, if you want this to say something different, if you want replies to go to a different email, you can hit that edit. These are edited within your settings under Command Mail. If you hit manage, this allows you to see how many emails you still have this month. You do get 5,000 per month. You can increase that if you're sending more than 5,000. And then lastly, you can adjust your sender name and reply to email. Now, while I'm on this topic, that test email that you're sending, if you're sending yourself a test email, it's going to go to your KW email, no matter what email is listed here. They've recently done an update, and test emails can only go to that KW email. So if you previously saw the ability to change it, they kind of got rid of that. But everything is there. Now we have our subject. So let's just say February newsletter. This is what they will see when they're looking at the subject of the email. So this is what you want to pay attention to. And then you want to select your content. So if we go ahead and grab that, I can see my email designs that I've previously created. And I can go ahead and select the one I want to use. Now it will bring me in if I do need to make any additional or last minute changes, delete something maybe if an open house or a house is no longer available, come in, make edits, and then I'm just going to hit save and close. Now on the right hand side, I'm going to see a preview of my email that's going out. And then all I need to do from here is either save the draft and come back to it when I'm ready to send it. I can schedule it if I wanted to go out at a certain day or time. Apply date and time, can schedule, or I can send it immediately. I'm gonna go ahead and do schedule, and I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that. I don't want it to actually send, but I want to show you how to do that, and also that it updates that status. So that is how you send it out. And again, once that starts sending emails, you'll start to get data here. It will show processing generally for about 24 hours before it starts to provide you with details. And then the other place you can check for details on your email campaigns is going to be in reports. This is another great place to come. If you go to emails, you can check again here. Based on either email campaign or smart plan, you can switch it if we're just looking at campaigns or if we want to look at all, but it will give you the delivery and engagement stats. So you can see delivered, undelivered, etc. You can also, again, click into these. It will tell you the email, how that was sent, and what email was sent. So you can get all of those details. You can even change this to go back a month and take a look at the previous month. All right, so that is, we've got some time for questions, and that is everything I want to cover with you guys today. So I'm going to hang around, go through all these questions with you guys, and go back to anything we need to. If you don't have any questions, feel free to hop off. That's totally okay with me. But if you have questions, drop those in the chat. Let's go through them. And if you're jumping off, thank you for coming today. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to go ahead and stop.